Hi, I'm Dr. Ashley, and this week we're discussing unexplained infertility. And the question I have for you is, are you planning for your conception and pregnancy? What if your health wasn't defined by a lack of pain, but by your fertility? It's estimated that 15 to 30% of infertility cases are classified as unexplained infertility. I truly believe everything has a reason and a purpose. So when there's a diagnosis of unexplained infertility, there's likely a reason. And what if the reason was your health? I don't want to be the bearer of bad news or the big bad wolf in your story, but if you're not working on your health prior to conception, you're missing some key nutrients and essentials that could be helpful for your journey to conception. Isn't it interesting that when we're planning a vacation, we plan all aspects of it? If we're going on a road trip, we're preparing what we're going to take with us, what snacks we're going to take, what gas stations we're going to stop at, if we're going to stay the night somewhere, if we're going on a really long road trip, or if we're planning a trip that requires a plane, we have to prepare, is our passport with us, is our driver's license with us, is our ID with us? There's so many things to prepare for when it comes to travel. When we prepare for an exam, when we're in high school or in college or even elementary school, there were tests all the time. We wouldn't just walk into the test without even listening to the teacher talk a couple times. I know some of you will say, yes, I did that. I, however, was not one of them, and many of us are not. We can't just walk into something like a test and not know slightly what to expect, right? Even preparing for the SATs or any board exams for medical school or law school, you do some preparing for that. When we think of playing sports, I would not just walk onto an NFL football field and decide I'm going to play football today. I've never played in my life. I would want to at least practice at least once or twice before I did that, right? When we're planning for retirement, we're saving up all of our money. We're investing in stocks. We're buying properties. We have investments. We're not just blindly going into retirement saying, well, I hope there's some money that just shows up before I retire, right? So why would pregnancy, planning for a baby, be any different than any of those scenarios? Things to consider when you are planning and preparing for a baby would be to live a lower toxin lifestyle. Why this is important is because there are so many different environmental toxins that we'll come into contact with, but on top of environmental, there's a lot that we'll find in our household. Anything from skincare, beauty care, hair care, cleaning products, how we cook our food, all of those things will contribute to endocrine disruption. And what endocrine disruption is super vital for how our hormones function. These estrogen mimickers can affect fertility in many different ways. Some of those include changes to the female cycle, making it more irregular, challenging and changing ovulation. There can be changes to the sperm mobility and sperm count. And then even when pregnant, it can change how the fetus develops, making it premature births possibly, or even low birth weights when the baby comes into the world. The top 3 ingredients I look for on the label. Number 1 is going to be fragrance and, undisclosed fragrance and perfume. You want to look for undisclosed because they're proprietary information and they're going to put tons of ingredients in there that you just wouldn't even know what they are because they're proprietary information. And this can be thousands of different things, some of which could be healthy and some of which could be unhealthy for your body. The second one would be phthalates and the last one would be parabens. Anytime I see these 3 things on a label, I know to steer clear. Another thing to consider on your journey to conception health and preparing for a baby would be, are you getting your proper and vital nutrients for your body? It's interesting to me that we all know not to smoke and not to drink alcohol during pregnancy, even though previously we were told that we could. We all know it's not ideal to do that, right? And that's because you're developing a baby. It's so important that baby has the proper nutrients to grow. Most women aren't even finding out that they're pregnant until 6 to 8 weeks. During this time, there are so many different things that are essential that are developing already. At about 2 weeks of conception, which is around 4 weeks of pregnancy, because the first 2 weeks you're not really technically pregnant, right? There is so many things developing. So your brain is going to be the first one, your brain and spinal cord. And then after those start developing in the first 2 weeks, you're going to have the heart, the upper limbs, the eyes, the lower limbs, and the ears. So those things are all pretty much starting to develop at about 8 weeks when we're finding out that we're pregnant. To me, this is why I feel it's so essential to be continually working on your health, male and female, in terms of conception, especially if you're leaving having a baby up to God's will and God's choice and chance and all of those things. If you're not properly working on your nutrients prior to conception, your baby can be missing out on a lot of different developmental aspects of their life in those first 8 weeks to 12 weeks essentially. We tend to think of fertility as a female-only issue because we are the ones that are housing the baby, growing the baby, and all of those things. However, have you ever considered that fertility is a sign of health? Have you ever considered that your partner could play a crucial role into fertility as well? What if you're able to get pregnant but not stay pregnant? Have you thought of how your male partner plays into all of that? There's research showing that the placenta is the responsibility of the male. So the first 12 weeks of a growing baby in your belly is because of the male and all of his DNA that is contributing. There are 46 different chromosomes that go into making a fetus. 23 come from female and 23 come from male. So ladies, if you are getting morning sickness, that is contributed to your male. That is from his DNA. And fun fact, when baby comes into the world, whatever sex they are, male or female, that is also contributed from your male's DNA. Because of the male having such big responsibility for the developing baby and fetus in that first 12 weeks, which is your first trimester, if there are miscarriages in that first trimester, if a woman is able to get pregnant but not stay pregnant, it is likely the culprit of the sperm. So something to consider would be looking at the male's health. I'm sorry to say this, men. I know we don't want to hear this. I know it's not common that we talk about this. However, you could be the culprit of not being able to carry a baby to full term. So to say that male fertility has no effect on conceiving a baby, that all he is responsible for is providing the sperm to implant and, make a baby and fertilize the egg is complete insanity. We need to have quality sperm as well. Just some things to consider if you are in the category of unexplained infertility, having challenges, conceiving, or staying pregnant. These are just some things I would consider on my journey. If you would like help on your label reading journey, I have a guide that I would love to send to you. Subscribe to my newsletter and I'll send it right over. I will drop a link in the description as well as comments so that you can subscribe. I'm Dr. Ashley and I help couples on their journey to conception. I help them create radiant health from conception on through to birth of baby. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely let me know, and you can follow along for more tips on health, conception, and pregnancy.